Welcome back. This is episode number 8 of the Limitation Act. We were dealing with section 4 in the previous episode and I have cited a few decisions. Now 1972, AER 1972 Kerala 218. AER 1972 Kerala 218. Parallel citation 1972 Kerala High Court cases 257. Raghavan versus Unnikrishnan and others. That was under Representation of People Act. It was held that sections 4 to 24 are made applicable to Representation of People Act as it being special law to the extent to which they are not expressly excluded by such special or local law. That is, interpreting section 29(2) of the Limitation Act. Election petition or filed on the date on which the court reopens after the summer recess will be regarded as within time. Election petition filed on the date when the court reopens after summer recess is within the period of Limitation Act. That is a Kerala view, and there is a Supreme Court judgment on the same point in Manohar Joshi versus Nitin Bhaurao Patil, Phaurao Patil and another. That is AER 1996, Supreme Court 796. 3 judges of the Supreme Court. Election petition. I will read a portion from paragraph 13, 1-3. It is settled by the decision of this court in Ramlal, Motilal and Chotelal versus Rewa Coalfields, AER 1962 Supreme Court 361, that the litigant has a right to avail limitation up to the last day, and his only obligation is to explain his inability to present the suit / petition on the last day of limitation and each day thereafter till it is actually presented. So I said that it is not a question to be asked, why couldn't you file it on the previous day? That is not the question. It is held in 1962 Supreme Court and it is followed in Manohar Joshi's case in 1996 that a litigant has a right to avail limitation up to the last day. This being the basic premise, it cannot be doubted that the election petitioner in the present case was entitled to avail the entire limitation of 45 days up to the last day, that is 14/4/1990, and he was required to explain the inability of not filing it only on 14/4/1990 and 15/4/1990, since the petition was actually presented in the High Court on 16/4. 14/4, 15/4 holidays. If so, section 10 of the General Clause Act applies. The explanation is obvious and the election petition must be treated to have been presented within time. Section 10 of the General Clause Act was applied. Next, paragraph 15, I will read 2 or 3 sentences. In view of the basic premise that the election petitioner is entitled to avail the entire limitation of 45 days for presentation of the election petition, as indicated in Ramlal, if the contrary view is taken, it would require the election petitioner to perform an impossible task in a case like the present. To present the election petition on the last day of limitation on which date the High Court as well as the office is closed. It is underlying principle of this legal maxim which suggests the informed decision on this point, leading to the only conclusion that Section 10 of the General Clause Act applies in computation of the limitation prescribed by subsection 1 of Section 81 of the Representation of People Act. So that is Manohar Joshi's case. Then another case, 2005 1 Kerala law types. 2005 1 Kerala law types 434. Parallel citation 2005 Kerala High Court cases KHC 70 Khadija versus Chandrika. That is decided in a case where the question of deposit of the 75% of the bid amount on the 15th day of the date of auction sale, court auction sale. Rule 85 of Order 21. It has to be deposited within 15 days. Since it happens in execution, Order 21, Section 5 of the Limitation Act is not applicable. There is no question of condonation of delay. Court has no power to condone the delay of depositing the amount, that 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. Court has no power. So it must be done within 15 days. Otherwise the sale will go. That is mandatory. No doubt about it. But the sale took place on a particular day, and the next day onwards for a period of 1 month and 2 days. The government employees, including the court staff, were on strike. The working of the official courts were paralyzed. Nobody was available. The deposit could not be made, nobody to receive the money. In fact, the money was offered to the learned Munsif. How can he receive it? But it could not be done. And the strike was over. On the next day, he deposited that amount in court and said, Section 4 of the Limitation Act applies. The other side contended that Section 4 only applies to when the court is closed. When the employees were on strike, the court is not closed. Court is not closed. Therefore, the deposit was made out of time and the sale has to go. That was the argument for the respondent. And that was decided in this Khadija versus Chandrika, that this period is to be excluded. Excluded in the sense that the deposit made immediately after the strike was over is good, and therefore the deposit was taken as within time. Technically speaking, that may not be very plausible thing. But what to do? To do an impossibility. How can the party be expected to do it? This is what said. The court could take judicial notice of the fact that the employees struck work on 6/2/2002 and that strike continued up to 8/3/2002. And the sale was on the day immediately preceding the commencement of the strike. And on the next day, the strike was over. It was accordingly found by the court that the first respondent had no chance at all to deposit the required amounts within the statutory period. According to the court, the auction purchaser was not at fault and it was unjust to make her suffer for somebody else's fault. This was what the trial court, the executing court held, and it was challenged before the High Court. In paragraph 9 of that judgment, I read that paragraph, short paragraph. I adopt the reasoning of the Bombay High Court in Rama. The Rama, that decision is in Rama. Yes. AER 1979 Bombay. AER 1979 Bombay 14. Rama, Abba, Singhale and others versus Sumitra Bai and others. That is a decision referred to in paragraph 9 of Khadija versus Chandrika. I adopt the reasoning of the Bombay High Court in Rama and hold that the period of limitation for making the deposit actually expired while the strike was on, and that since the deposit was made on the working day next after lifting of the strike, the deposit was made within time. The Supreme Court decision cited at the bar by so and so all lay down that court has no power to enlarge the period of 15 days prescribed by Order 21 Rule 85 for making the balance deposit. There cannot be any quarrel about that proposition, and on the view I am taking in the instant case, it is not necessary for me to consider whether or consideration of substantial justice the court has power to allow enlargement of time. I am not, however, hesitant to opine that in situations where the working of the court becomes paralyzed to the extent of nobody being able to file anything, and even the presiding officer becomes helpless, as in the present case, there will be justification for treating the day in question as a day when the court remained closed for the purpose of Section 4 of the Limitation Act. Significantly, the submission of so and so, that he actually tendered the amount to Munsif even before the expiry of 15 days, etc. etc. So the court took it that during this period the court was closed. Technically speaking, it may not be correct, but that is a pragmatic view, practical view. Otherwise the people will have no faith in the system. Yes, I said about the Bombay High Court case, AER 1979 Bombay 14, AER 79 Bombay 14. Rama, Abba, Singhale and others versus Sumitra Bai and another. When is said the court is said to be closed? That was considered. When an account of strike of court staff, there also, not only in Kerala, but in Bombay also it happened. The court itself said that it could not accept the money under Order 21 Rule 89. That is, after the sale is over, the purchase price plus etc. is deposited within time. Although in a highly technical sense it may not be closed, according to the court calendar, for all practical and legal purposes, particularly for receiving monies, it was closed. And it falls within the explanation. That is what the Bombay High Court said. Then the Manohar Joshi's case I cited, AER 1976 Supreme Court 796, Manohar Joshi's case. Then next, AER 1973 Supreme Court 313. 3 judges. Amarchand Inani, INANI, Amarchand Inani versus Union of India. Parallel citation 1973, 1 SCC 115. That was an interesting case. The suit was filed after taking into account the period during which a notice under section 80 was issued to the railways. The suit was filed in the court of senior subordinate judge of Karnal, that is Karnal court, on 2nd March 1959. I am giving the bare minimum points so that you can easily consider it. The suit was filed in the senior subordinate judges court of Karnal on 2nd March 1959. 1st March was a holiday. For ministerial purposes, the suit was subsequently transferred to the subordinate judges court, Panipat. Transfer. And Panipat court said that it has no territorial jurisdiction. And a particular railway station, all those things was mentioned to say which court has actually territorial jurisdiction. And the plaint was returned. The plaint was presented before Ambala court on October 29th, 1959, together with an application under section 14. Together with an application under section 14. So, it was filed in Karnal court. For administrative reasons, it was transferred to Panipat court. Panipat court held that it has no jurisdiction. Panipat court held that it has no jurisdiction. And later it was filed in Ambala court. By that time elapsed. An application was filed under section 14 to exclude that period where he was bona fide prosecuting the litigation in different courts. But it was argued before the courts that section 4 applies. And it was filed before the original court, that is in Karnal court, on the correct date. It was a holiday, next day it was filed. And therefore it is within time. And no matter whether the plaint was returned, it was filed within time. That was the argument. And the court held, if the plaintiff, discussions are there, I will read only 2 or 3 sentences, 4 or 5 sentences. If the plaintiff had filed the suit in the trial court on March 2nd, 1959, then certainly the suit would have been within time. That is Ambala court. As the Karnal court had no jurisdiction to entertain the plaint, it was not the proper court. The fact that the plaintiff would be entitled to take advantage of the provisions of section 14 of the Act would not in any way affect the question whether the suit was filed within time as provided in section 4 in the Karnal court. 14 of the Act only provided for exclusion of the time which the plaintiff has been prosecuting with due diligence and other civil proceeding. If, however, as argued by the counsel for the appellant, that the suit was instituted in the trial court, that is the third court, Ambala court, argued that it was, if however argued by the counsel for the appellant, the suit was instituted in the trial court by the presentation of the plaint after it was returned for presentation to the proper court was a continuation of the suit. That is the second point decided. So Ambala court returned it for presentation to the proper court. It was filed within time in Karnal court. It was transferred to Ambala court. Ambala court returned it for presentation to the proper court. No matter the plaint was returned, therefore it was filed on the correct time and therefore it is to be taken. It was decided that returning of the plaint for presentation to the proper court, and it was presented in the proper court, the suit can be deemed to be instituted in the proper court only when the plaint was presented in that court. In other words, the suit instituted in the trial court by the presentation of the plaint returned by the Panipat court was not a continuation of the suit filed in Karnal court. Argument was, it shall be deemed to have been filed. We think there is no substance in the argument, for when the plaint was returned for presentation to the proper court and was presented in that court, the suit can be deemed to be instituted in the proper court. We cannot accept that contention. And it was held that the court will have no, the limitation cannot be saved. Suppose I file a suit before a particular court. The plaint is returned, that is filed on the last day. Plaint is returned on the ground that it has no jurisdiction to deal with it. It was returned for presentation to the proper court. I presented it within 2 or 3 days in the proper court. It is not a continuation. After returning the plaint, along with the stamp paper, everything, I need not present it before any court. I can keep it. I can file it. I need not file it. I can file a fresh suit. No harm. Question is whether it is barred by limitation. Court cannot make a roving inquiry of all those things. So, it is not a continuation of the original one. So, whenever plaint is returned, dear friends, please note whether there is enough time. Otherwise, there will be difficulty. Yes, please note this decision also. So, with that we close section 4 and we will deal with section 5. Section 5 is several decisions.